so we're going to jump into this. We're still talking about building habits. So today we're going to talk about building habits that last and how to make your habits actually stick. So this post or this live, we're going to go over some great tips and some great hacks to make sure that the rituals and the habits that you set actually stick. There's something that can be long-term for you and help you to achieve your goals, and it's going to help you to track your progress, and it's also going to help you to hold you accountable as well. So the first question that I have for you is, who do you want to become? So you guys hear me say this often, but I'm going to keep saying it, and it's not because I'm senile. It's because it's really important to understand, if you guys can get this, that your life and your practice is literally an expression of you. So what expression of you has to show up in order to be able to create the practice of your dreams? Who do you have to become to be able to live your deepest desires? Have you ever walked into a room with a bunch of chiropractors? Maybe you went to a seminar where there was 100, 200, or 300 different chiropractors, and you could tell who are the high volume, successful chiropractors without even talking to them. How do you know that? How do you know that somebody is a successful chiropractor? Or it doesn't even have to be a chiropractor. It can be any type of businessman. How do you know that without talking to somebody, without having a conversation with somebody? Do you think maybe, is it because of what they wear? Is it what they say? Is it what they do? Or is it just the vibe that you get from them? Is it the vibe that they give off? And if you answered honestly, your answer would be that it's the vibe that you get. It's an intuition that you get just by being around somebody. What you're feeling with your senses, so what you're feeling is when your senses go beyond your five senses, is the physiological energy. So that's what you're feeling. It's the vibrational frequency at which that person vibrates. So if you're just starting in practice, and let's say you have a goal to see 300 office visits a week, then you need to learn how to vibrate and how to function like a 300 office a week chiropractor. So how do you change the expression of who you are? Now, notice I'm using the word expression. I'm not saying how to change you. Okay, you need to be you. You need to be authentic to yourself and to who you really are. But how do you change the expression of who you are? How you vibrate, how you show up to the world. Does that make sense? So I love this quote. It says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." That was written by Will Durant. So take a look at what kind of rituals and habits the people who are already doing what you want to do, and start to mirror that. Start to mirror what they are already doing. Habit formation is a process by which behaviors become automatic. Habits can form without a person intending to acquire them, but they can also be deliberately cultivated or deliberately eliminated to suit whatever goals you have. So that's another thing too, is yeah, we definitely have to set habits that are going to groom us to be able to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. But are there any habits that you currently have that maybe we need to take a look at getting rid of? Those are the ones that can be a real pain in the butt, right? So your life's outcome will be determined by your habits. I love this quote because this is by Gandhi. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. And your values become your destiny. So, have you ever tried to create a new daily ritual that you tried to turn into a habit, and it only lasted for a week or two or three, or maybe even you did it for a whole month, but then eventually it just fell off. Something happened, like maybe you were on a roll and then you went on vacation and bam, like you just couldn't get back into the groove of it. So if your answer is yes, that's okay. That's happened to me too, so many times. So here are 3 tips or 3 hacks that I'm going to give you to make your habits stick, no matter what. No matter if you take time away from the practice, you go on vacation, these habits are going to stick with you. So first of all, I want you to think in terms of starting small with habits that fuel you. Habits are all about consistency, and one of the biggest barriers to consistency is not starting small enough. So going from, like, for example, going from 0 minutes of meditation all the way to jumping right into like 30 minutes of meditation in a day will be nearly impossible, right? Even if we pulled it off for a while, maintaining such a big challenge is not going to be realistic, especially something like a habit of meditation, right? Anybody out there besides me, when you're first starting to get used to meditating, did you meditate for about 10 seconds and you're like, oh my God, when is this going to be over? My mind is already drifting. Is there anybody besides me that that's happened to? Alrighty, so to get around this pitfall, you want to start small, and then you want to ramp up a little by little, just kind of like a workout. You know, creating habits and consistent habits are kind of like a workout. So when you feel like you're doing it and it's not quite such a big deal, add a little bit more, add a few more minutes to that meditation, add a few more miles to that run, right? Think in terms, a great analogy that I heard and I loved it is just think in terms of building a fire. It's such a great analogy. So what do you do when you're going to build a fire? You start out with small kindling, right? Which catches fire really easily. And then what happens? Then you start to put larger pieces of wood. And then finally, after larger pieces of wood, then you bring on the big logs. And what that produces is that gives you a really nice fire. So your takeaway is what would happen if you were to put the big logs on first, right? Nothing. You wouldn't get a fire, right? It would suffocate out before it even started. So to get that roaring fire with the big logs of your dreams, start the fire with some easy stuff first. And then after that, you can ramp up with the bigger logs, right? Number 2, do your habit at the same time every day and in the same place every day. So your body is, as well as a lot of things in nature, are cyclical, right? So your body likes rhythm. So think about it. Do you ever wake up nearly the same time every day, even if you don't set alarm, right? You ever notice how your body just automatically wakes up at that same time? So that's how your habits have to be. They have to be so ingrained in you that you don't even have to think about it, that it's just completely automatic. So this way your habits become what's called non-negotiable. Your body will eventually actually start to crave the habit once it's done repetitively at the same time and at the same place, right? So this is the challenge that happens with habits. Have you ever decided, okay, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. each morning and I'm going to do my workout. I'm going to get up, I'm going to set my alarm's going to go off, and I'm going to do a workout, right? And what happens when 5 a.m. rolls around? The alarm goes off, and what do? You roll over and you hit, say it in the comments, you know what I'm talking about, you hit the snooze button, right? Is there anybody else besides me that has hit the snooze button before? All right, hit the snooze button. Why? Right? Because your body's not used to it. It's like all of a sudden you just like jolted your body, right? So what happens in your head? You're like, oh my gosh, your eyes are closed, you're laying in bed, you're like, I know that I need to go, I know that I need to do this, but one more minute of sleep, but it's raining outside, it's really cold, it's still dark out, right? And you start negotiating with yourself. You're like, if I don't go at 5 this morning, then then that's okay. I'll go at 4 this afternoon, right? I know the story. I've done it myself. I totally get it. So we decide what habit you need to decide what habit you want to create, and then write in your journal, I will blank, and in that blank put the habit that you're ready to create at blank, which is the time, in blank, which is the location. So I will meditate at 5 a.m. in my meditation room. You guys are gonna laugh. I used to one of the places that I've had the best meditation was actually in a sauna. I have a sauna in my home, and that's one of the places where I got into a ritual of meditating in the sauna, and it was phenomenal actually. So anyway, that's where you want to start. Whatever habit you want to create, at what time you're going to do it every single day, and in what location. See, location is also really important. It's just as important as your timing, because we associate meaning to different locations. Let me explain. So every action that you have is typically triggered, location. Thanks, John. Hi, John. Every action that you do is typically triggered by some kind of cue. So for example, if you were, it'll be way harder to start a habit if you wanted to start the habit of practicing your guitar. So I picked this one because if you guys know me and my family, you know that my son plays guitar, and I never have to get Cole to practice his guitar. It's amazing. He practices every single day. He plays this beautiful music. But I believe one of the reasons why he does is because of the location that we have his guitars. So if you wanted to start the habit of playing or practicing your guitar, if you keep the guitar stored away in a closet and out of sight, it's going to be way harder to start that habit if your guitars were out, right? So one of the things that we did when Cole was, ever since he was been young, is we hung his guitars in his bedroom along his walls, and so he has his guitars. His guitars are out in front of him all the time, just there, ready to be played. And I've never had to twist his arm or force him to practice guitar. It was something he always would pick up every single day and do. And another great example is if you wanted to get into the habit of taking your supplements every day. I do this actually. I keep my supplements out on the counter instead of putting them away in the cupboard, right? If you wanted to start the habit of meditating, then keep a cozy pillow, like a cozy meditation pillow, in the place that you choose to meditate. So it's easier to build a new habit in a new environment because you're not fighting old cues. So what happens is, a lot of times, one of the reasons why people fail at creating habits long term is because they will take a new habit and they will do the new habit in a place where they were doing an old habit or even an unproductive habit. And so we're like associating the wrong thing in our mind. We mentally assign a habit to our relationship with an object. So for example, if you watch TV in bed every night and then you try to create a new habit of reading in bed every night, that's going to be really difficult to maintain because you've already mentally assigned the place of the bed as the habit of watching TV. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, will you guys write in the comment yes? If it doesn't make sense, I'll try to explain it a little bit better. If you want your habits to be stable and predictable, your environment needs to be stable and predictable. So every habit, long story short, all that to say, every habit should have its own home. And then the third hack is called, yes, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, John. Yes, awesome. And every number thing. So the third hack is what's called habit stacking. So how do you remember to do your new habit? Have you ever decided, okay, yes, on Monday, I'm going to start running a mile every morning. I'm going to start my meditation routine, right? And then Monday morning rolls around and like the kids have to get to school, you have to make lunches, the dogs are barking, you have to make your own lunch, you have to get dressed, you have to get to the office on time, right? And what happens? The next thing you know is like you're running around task to task to task, and guess what you forget to do? You forget to do your ritual, right? So the easiest way to remember to do your ritual is to tie it to tie your desired behavior, so your new ritual, to a current behavior. So for example, with habit stacking, you would say something like this: after I blank, which would be your current behavior or your current habit, I will blank, which will be your new habit. I'll give you some examples. So after I pour my coffee in the morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. My personal one is after I pour my coffee in the morning, I read for 10 to 20 minutes. After I take my shoes off, I will change right into my workout clothes. After I sit down to eat dinner, I will say one thing that I'm grateful for today. So that's the habit of gratitude, right? Mine on that one is right after I get out of bed in the morning, I will say what I'm grateful for. You like these, Cal? I know, these are really good. After I put on my running shoes, I will text someone where I'm running and for how long, right? So the reason habit stacking is so effective is that you're already doing an existing habit. So once your brain learns to add this small additional step, remember we talked about starting small, your new habit inherits the consistency power of your existing habits. So first, once you get good at habit stacking, then you can build on this and you can build powerful multi-level stacks. So an example of that would be, and this is what I do in the morning, after I pour my coffee, I will read for 10 to 20 minutes. After I read for 10 to 20 minutes, I will listen to my audio book. That's my personal one. Here's another example. After I finish eating dinner, I will put my plate directly in the dishwasher. After I put my plate away, I will wipe down the countertop. After I wipe down the countertop, I will set out my coffee mug for tomorrow morning. Second, you could begin using less obvious existing habits, like I'll give you a couple of these examples. When I walk, this is a great one, guys. Are you ready for this? John, I want you to do this. I want you to make this like your mantra. When I walk into a networking event, I will introduce myself to everyone new. When I do an outside talk, I will always do a call to action. When I hear my phone ring, I will take one deep breath and smile. That last one that I gave you, when I hear the phone ring, I will take a deep breath and I smile. That is actually a habit that I have wired into my team, right? That's a habit that I wired into my own team, so that every single time when they hear the phone rings, it's almost like Pavlov's dog, right? Where the bell rang and the dog started to salivate, right? I train my team to create a habit so that every time they hear the phone ring, they automatically think new patient, they take a breath, and they smile. That's their habit, right? So write that one down, guys. If you guys are opening a practice and starting to create a team, that is a really good habit to teach and to wire into your team. So hopefully those 3 hacks will help you to not only create some powerful habits that explode you to the next level in life and in practice, but will also help you to stick. So just a quick review. Start out small, same time every day, same place every day, and then habit stack. So attach it to something that you're already doing. All right, guys, good luck with your habits, and I will surely see you next Friday. Thanks, John. Was it great info? Good. Do you guys have any questions? just leave it like a couple seconds, see if you guys have any questions. Excellent, Kelly. Thank you. Kelly, I can't wait to hear what habits you are going to create and start. All right, guys, I don't see any questions coming up. Oh, hey, Jose. You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for tuning in, Jose. It's been a while. Miss you, man. What you laughing at, Kelly? All right, guys. If I don't have any questions, I'm gonna sign off for the weekend.